It's Mary Catherine from www.crochetchic.com. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do front post stitch and back post stitches when you're working in rows. A lot of my new patterns coming out are going to be featuring these both in rows and round, so I thought I would just give you a jump start and sneak preview on what's coming up. What I did was I just worked a couple rows of just single crochet, nothing fancy, and that's actually how my new scarf, Bridges and Ridges, starts out. That pattern will be up later this week. And so when you're ready to add in your post stitches, I'm starting this at the beginning of my next row. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 2. This doesn't count as like a stitch. It's going to count more as like a step up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over just like you do for double crochet. And then see there, I've got this post right here. I'm going to go through and I'm going to go around front of it. I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to pull through them 2 at a time, just like that. And that's how you create the front post. It looks a little funny at the beginning, but trust me, the effect is really cool. So for a back post, what we want to do is we want to come underneath it. Trying to make it so you guys can see. See how I come back around behind it? And I've got 3, but I'm working behind the scarf. And then again, I'm going to show you a front post because this pattern, basically what I'm doing is I'm going back, front, back, front. Now I want to do is I want to come on front. And what I want to do here is go behind. I'm going to show it to you from behind, see how it looks. Let me try giving you guys a close-up view of it. So what you do is you're going to go for the front post. You want to go underneath like that, yarn over, pull it through, and we're working our stitch in front of the work, just like this. Now for a back post, we go underneath the stitch and from behind, go like this. I've got 3 loops on my hook, but see how I start working the stitch behind it. So that's why it's called a back post. The post it's referring to is the stitch from the previous row. So see how I'm going around that single crochet from the previous row. You can do this front post, back post around any stitch using just about SC, HDC, DC, triple, I mean just whatever basic stitch you want. You can go around as long as the stitch has a post. Just got to yarn over first because I'm doing double crochet. My yarn is getting a little tight. Want to make sure you always keep your yarn nice and loose because it can affect the tension. This is what it looks like so far. I'm using a whopping size, I don't know if you can see it or not, but a size L hook. The reason why I'm using such a big hook is because I teach beginners all the time, and I've found that when learning a new stitch, if you start with a jumbo size hook, it's a lot easier to pick it up faster and then just use your hook size down smaller than to try to learn something like on, say you're used to using a G or an F. It's just a lot harder to see what you're doing and catch things. After you get the hang of it, it's really quite simple. And you'll find that you can move along with the pattern very quickly. Just when I was first learning front post and back post, I had a really hard time with the concept of which one was a front post and which one was the back. So I'm trying to make sure I get every angle in here for you guys to see so you can know exactly what I'm talking about. Like that was the back post. Now I'm going to go and see how I work with the majority of the stitch here in front, which is why it's called a front post. So, and that's written out as F for front, P for post, and then whatever stitch, DC, SC, HDC. Now for the back post, I start in the front, whoops, but, oh, that was the front, see? I just go out from underneath it and I grab it and I pull it through. and most of the stitch is worked behind. Now, whatever appears to be a front post stitch on this side, when you turn it, however, is then a back post stitch on this side. So what's opposite, and it is a double-sided stitch, it's not something that looks bad on the back side and the front side, but right here, see how this looks like a front post stitch because it's raised? When you look at this exact stitch over here, it's a back post stitch, so it's not raised. I went ahead and started a second row following that same pattern where you make the back post line up and the front post line up, so you have these deep ridges like this. So in order to have where you have deep lines like this, using the post, what you're going to do is anywhere where you see a back post, you're going to go ahead and do that again. And anywhere you see a front post, you're going to do that again. And that's what creates these lines. And you can do it as many lines as you want. And it makes a really interesting, a really thick type fabric. Now, if you want it to look more like the basket weave, you can do any combination of intervals. What you do though is you want to make sure you have the opposite. So this is a back post, so I'm going to do a front post on top of it, just like this. And since this is a front post, I'm going to want to do a back post. And basket weaves are normally done in multiples of 2, 3, or 4, but I've seen them done in 1s and 2s. And that just, what it does is it gives you a different design just by changing that one thing up. So let me show you. So this is when you line up the posts, and this is what it looks like right there when you alternate. So it looks like you have little lines. So whether you want your lines to line up or you want them to be kind of mismatched and make it look like you're crocheting this way and up and down, this is how you use the front post and the back post when you're working in rows. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'd be happy to help you. Don't forget to look us up on Facebook under Crochet Chic, Pinterest, and just Ravelry, just about any social media network, you can find us there.